Picture this. You and 5 of your friends are dropped right into the middle of the unforgiving Arctic. You have zero supplies, literally nothing but the clothes on your backs. Well, today in this explainer, we're unpacking a truly grueling 7-day survival test of human endurance where 6 guys did exactly that. It is an absolute race against nature, and honestly, the stakes could not be higher.
So ask yourself, could you actually survive a full week out there? I mean, try to imagine the visceral, bone-chilling cold of this 3D Arctic landscape. Right from minute 1, there's this intense ticking clock tension. These guys aren't just out camping for the weekend. They're literally standing on top of 2 feet of snow and solid ice. Every single second that ticks by without shelter or fire is 1 second closer to freezing.
Okay, let's dive right into this Arctic survival blueprint. Our roadmap covers 4 crucial steps. 1. Carving a snow shelter. 2. The fight against frostbite. 3. The desperate ice hunt. And 4. Survival and redemption.
All right, part 1. Carving a snow shelter. Battling the elements.
So on day 1, it was an immediate do-or-die race against that setting sun. In the Arctic, the second the sun goes down, temperatures just plummet dangerously below zero. If they didn't get inside some kind of shelter before dark, the extreme wind exposure could literally freeze a limb in minutes. So they hastily dug out this tiny cave. They were packed in there like sardines, totally unable to even extend their legs, which led to a horrifyingly bad night of sleep with literal frost forming on their bags. But by day 3, after hours of exhausting excavation, they managed to carve away the icy walls to create an expanded cave. It had even spacing, finally giving everyone room to sleep comfortably.
Now, to make that shelter actually work, they had to do a couple of things. They absolutely had to block the extreme Arctic wind, and they had to confine their collective body heat into a small space. But even inside, the frozen ground was just sapping their warmth. That's when a teammate named Haze went out and harvested spruce branches, bringing them back to camp like an early Christmas present. It was a real game changer. Those branches provided crucial insulation, physically separating their bodies from the freezing ice.
Moving on to part 2, the fight against frostbite, the reality of the cold.
As the days wore on, dropping temperatures combined with soaking wet clothes brought on some severe physical dangers. By day 2, the situation got alarming. Teammate Chandler experienced what's called frostnip. This is an early stage of a cold injury where your toes or extremities turn white or purple. And if you don't catch this and immediately reverse it by rewarming those extremities, it rapidly progresses into permanent, irreversible frostbite. Definitely not something you want to mess with.
To stop that nightmare scenario from happening, the team had to rely on a visceral level of trust and really quick thinking. After identifying that loss of color, Chandler had to quickly take off his freezing, wet boots and socks. Now, out on the ice, you obviously don't have a space heater, so teammate Darius stepped up, allowing Chandler to place his freezing bare foot directly into his armpit. Yeah, into his armpit. It's an extreme method for sure, but that direct transfer of core body heat was exactly what they needed to restore circulation. Everything is wrong, nothing's going right. By day 3, a massive blizzard hit the camp. Their firewood was soaking wet and refused to light, their clothes were drenched, and total exhaustion was setting in. Morale basically hit rock bottom. I mean, when you're that cold, that tired, and everything you attempt just fails, the mental battle becomes just as dangerous as the physical one. This brings us to part 3. The desperate ice hunt, the search for food. The ticking clock of starvation was getting super loud at this point. They arrived on day 1 with basically nothing, and their initial 4-day emergency supply of beef sticks and snacks was completely wiped out. On day 3, their first fishing attempt near camp totally failed. Day 4 brought that blizzard, halting progress entirely. So by day 5, with absolutely zero food left, they were forced into a desperate, exhausting do-or-die mission, trekking across the frozen landscape to find a river.
Here is why that was so crucial. In the Arctic, eating is heating. It's a fundamental biological concept. A lack of food isn't just about your stomach growling. Without calories to burn, the human body physically cannot generate internal heat. In these freezing conditions, starvation is a direct, rapid path to hypothermia. Basically, if they didn't catch fish, they were going to freeze from the inside out.
But getting that food meant punching through 2.5 feet of solid lake ice. They spent grueling hours manually grinding an auger into the ice near their camp, only to realize the ice was literally thicker than the blade of the drill. It physically stopped the auger from reaching water. It was a brutal, energy-draining failure that forced them to stop and completely rethink their game plan.
Knowing that lake was a dead end, D5 required a massive pivot in strategy. First, they used a drone to locate moving river water, because churning water naturally prevents ice from freezing as thickly. Then, the team strapped on snowshoes, trekked through incredibly deep snow, dodging massive moose tracks along the way, all to drill through that significantly thinner river ice.
Which takes us to our final act, Part 4, Survival and Redemption, Breaking the Fast.
After that exhausting, multi-hour trek through a blizzard, the fishing crew finally drilled through the river ice, hitting water at about 8 inches deep. But they found themselves just sitting over this tiny hole for hours without a single bite. The cold really started setting in, leading to a moment of pretty deep emotional vulnerability. Jimmy, who was absolutely terrified of failing another survival challenge, looked up and said, "I just really don't want to fail back-to-back challenges. I'm going to catch a fish because I want to succeed for you guys." And miraculously, right in the middle of this monologue where he refused to give up, the line tugged.
What followed was just pure high-energy chaos. The fish bit the line, but as they pulled it up, it actually fell off the hook right at the lip of the hole. In a split second of absolute desperation, Jimmy jammed his bare hands into the freezing water and grabbed the fish before it could swim away. He barehanded it. And shortly after that incredible save, they managed to catch a second one, securing the calories they so desperately needed.
This triumph perfectly highlights the massive mental battle they faced every single day out there. At any point, they could have taken the easy way out. They could have shot the daily flare, suffered the penalty of shaving their heads, and evacuated by a warm plane. That temptation flew overhead every single day. But instead, they chose the ultimate redemption. They pushed through the pain to return to their camp holding 2 fish, greeted by teammates who had prepared hot water and a roaring fire.
It's just an incredible testament to teamwork and sheer willpower. So I want to leave you with a question to think about. If you were pushed to your absolute physical and mental limit in a freezing, hostile environment, soaking wet and completely out of food, would you find a way to adapt, push through the snow, and catch that fish? Or would you shoot the flare? Thank you for joining us for this explainer, and definitely keep that question in mind the next time you find yourself facing a tough challenge.